Hi everyone, and welcome to part 5 of the analysis of Wendi Adelson's cross-examination. I have chosen a video that Tallahassee Democrat had posted on the last retrial of Catherine McBanoa. So the title of the video that we're gonna watch is Dan Markel Murder, Wendi Adelson grilled as she testifies in Catherine McBanoa's retrial. And I think these are the important moments in the retrial.
This is all about you, isn't it?
Excuse me?
This is all about you, right?
I was called to be a witness and I'm testifying, so I don't understand the question. Is it a question?
There's about 100 people in this courtroom, right?
There are people in the courtroom.
Thousands watching, right?
I have no idea who's watching.
And it's all because of your failed marriage, right?
I disagree with that.
You disagree that your ex-husband is dead because of your family.
Yes, I disagree.
These jurors are here for weeks doing their civic duty because of your marriage, right?
No.
Katie's going through this ordeal because of that marriage, right?
No.
Dan Markel's parents are going through absolute misery because of your failed marriage. Isn't that right?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, let's talk about the marriage. You and Professor Markel, you met when you were in law school. You told that to Miss Kaplan. It was a whirlwind romance, right?
At this moment, Wendi is, I think, baffled. In her mind, she's coming to this retrial, getting all the PTSD again from the first trial, getting through the second trial, and she just wants it to end very quickly. And now this guy comes in and he is something. I mean, I have to say, we have to give him credit. I really like this lawyer actually, and the way he talked to her. And now she's like, oh, here we go again.
Right?
It was not a whirlwind romance, no.
It led to a wedding, February 26th of 2006. You had a big wedding in Boca Raton, right?
Did we get married on February 26, 2006? Is that the question? Yes.
In Boca Raton.
In Boca Raton, Florida.
It wasn't a small wedding. It was a big wedding.
There were many people in attendance.
Right? In this marriage, it led to 2 children, right? Your 2 boys.
Are you asking me if I have 2 boys?
Yes.
Yes.
She keeps on repeating, is this the question? Are you asking me, as if she's saying to him, like, don't tell me facts, just ask me questions. I know what I'm doing here.
He was a very good father, yes.
Those boys were his world, right?
As well as his work, yes.
And they adored him too, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Now, this marriage started to fall apart, right?
It did.
But there were problems from the very beginning, weren't there?
Are you asking me, what is the very beginning? The very beginning of when we got married?
Literally at the wedding.
There were problems before we got married.
All right, so at the wedding, the government asked you about kosher law, right?
About what, I'm sorry?
Keeping kosher,
About keeping kosher, yeah.
right?
The
In your wedding, at your wedding, was the groom's family, the Marital family, and they are more strict than your family and friends about keeping kosher.
They do not keep kosher.
Wasn't that one of the problems in your marriage, that Professor Markel was very insistent about keeping kosher?
About his kosher rules, but those are different than his family's.
So you're saying that it wasn't a problem at the wedding, that there were people from the groom's side of the family that were there that strictly keep kosher, that they were told that it was going to be kosher food, but it actually wasn't.
So there was a misunderstanding about whether the food was going to be kosher style or more in adherence with kosher law. There was a miscommunication about that.
What do you mean kosher style? What do you mean? Labeled kosher? That's the kosher style? What's the difference between kosher style and being adequate kosher? That's weird.
So you had people that strictly keep kosher eating non-kosher food, which is a big deal.
That actually is not what happened. Danny was upset that it was kosher style and not strictly adhering to kosher law.
So
He was disappointed.
So there's problems right from the beginning.
That was a problem at our wedding. Yeah.
Fast forward now to September 10th.
Right from the beginning of the wedding, right from the beginning of this marriage, Donna has all of her hands and her body in this marriage with them. It feels like Dan Markel has married all the family, specifically Donna, much more than Wendi. We know from another video that Donna was the one that kind of organized the wedding and the food and everything, and she was told to do it kosher, but she did not, as usual, did not follow through the agreement because that's not what she wants, simply.
2012. Professor Markel, he's away on a business trip, right?
Yes.
He's in New York City at New York University, right?
I believe so, yes.
He's doing a presentation.
I don't know what he was doing.
Your husband at the time was in New York to give a presentation. You knew that, right?
I knew he was in New York. I didn't know if he was attending a conference.
Just a thought that came now to my mind that this family, the Adelson's family, is such a corrupt family. Like, aside from this crime, after everything went through public, you see how much they don't like to follow rules.
But he was in New York for work.
Now, you had not communicated with him for 2 days.
I really don't remember.
You text him at around 2:30 in the afternoon, right? Right before he's about to do the presentation.
I really don't remember.
But you do remember dropping the bomb on him, don't you? Telling him that you wanted a divorce.
So I did not drop a bomb on him. We'd been in therapy for several months beforehand where I told him several times I wanted a divorce.
You say it's not a bomb, but you agree with me that he begged you to reconsider.
He was very upset and, yes, wanted me to reconsider, but
in that phone call, he's begging you to reconsider. Please don't leave. Please don't break up our family, right?
He was very upset, yes.
And he was heartbroken. I mean, upset indicates that there was anger. What he was heartbroken, right?
That I decided to divorce him after telling him I would, yes.
Despite being at NYU for a presentation, he rushes home. He gets on the next flight, right?
I honestly don't remember if he got on the next flight, but he did come home quickly.
2:30, he finds out in New York. By 11 p.m., he's walking in the door to your old house at Trescott Drive, right?
I don't know.
But you do know that when he walks in the house, what he finds. You know that, right?
Yes, I left him the papers.
You left the divorce papers on the bed, right?
Yes.
Half the furniture was gone.
Half the furniture was not gone.
A good amount of his stuff was gone.
Nothing of his was gone.
The boys' stuff was gone, right?
Some of the boys' things were gone. I'd taken enough so that I had for the boys, but no.
You were gone.
I was gone, yes.
And so were his boys.
His boys were not gone. He saw them the next day, and they would not have been awake if he's coming home at 11 p.m.
Let's stay on topic here. When he walks in the door, the boys are not. You did not tell Professor Markel where you were taking the boys. He may have seen them the next day, but you did not let him know where you were going to be staying with his boys.
With our boys? Yes.
So you agree with me that they're also his.
Of course they're his.
And he should be entitled to know where his wife is taking his children.
Absolutely.
It's not about that. It's not about like if he saw the boys or not. It's about the way that she took the boys from him. He was in New York. He was at work and he was powerless. He did not, even if he wants to be in the moment with her and his kids before leaving, he couldn't because he couldn't physically be there. He's far away, and she chose this time to run away with the boys. How awful is that? I mean, the factor of the surprise for Dan is the upsetting one. Of course, he's gonna see his kids his next day. These are his kids. He could have an order from the court. It's not because you're a kind person you let him see the kids the next day. It's law. He will see the kids the next day. It's not about you being in power of him not seeing the kids. It's the way that you did it. It's very malicious the way she did it. It's very malicious to wait for him when he's not there. I mean, he trusted her with these boys. He went to work in New York and he had a presentation or whatever. In the back of his mind, my kids are safe at home and I will be back after getting back to New York, and they're in therapy and doing everything, and then psh, she calls him, ruins everything for him, begs her to stay, and she doesn't. So malicious. She takes the kids and the stuff and go away. It's the way she did it.
You two had a joint checking account at Schwab, right? You went into that account before you dropped the bomb. You took out half of that account, right?
Correct.
Roughly $350,000.
Half, yes.
$350,000.
I don't remember the amount. Yeah.
You know that it was in the hundreds of thousands.
I really don't remember the amount, sir.
Is it that insignificant of a sum to you that you don't remember?
It's an insignificant sum. I'm saying I can't attest to the amount that was there.
You are unhappy in the marriage, right? And it happens. Marriages fall apart, right?
Yes.
But you complain constantly about it, didn't you?
No, I don't think I complained constantly.
To anyone that would listen.
No, that's not true.
You agree with me that you complain to the one person that would actually do something about it.
I don't understand what you're asking.
Your big brother, Charles Adelson, you complained to him about how bad Professor Marital was and how much you hated him and didn't want to be in a marriage with him.
I definitely talked to my brother about how unhappy I was in my marriage. If that's the question, then yes. Is that the question?
Yes, that is a question. You talked to your brother, Charles Adelson, about how bad your marriage was.
I did, yes.
Let's talk.
She looks to me as if she's drowning all by herself in the ocean and everyone's looking, no one's catching her. Like even her lawyer is not saying objection or whatever. And the judge is not saying anything. She's all by herself, defending herself, telling him constantly, you have to ask questions, you have to ask questions.
I've been asking you about Charles Adelson. He's an intelligent guy, right? He's both book smart and street smart, right?
I would say so.
You would say that he's a talker.
He does like to talk.
He's got the gift of gab, so to speak.
I wouldn't say he's the gift of gab, but
He knows what to say.
I wouldn't say that's true either.
You would say, though, that he is. Now, you were asked questions about drug purchasing and stuff like that. You'd agree with me that he's also street smart.
I mean, I think he has common sense.
Perfect common sense. No, no, really, this case actually proves how much common sense Charlie has, really. If anything, this crime proves how stupid and dumb Charlie Adelson is. Point. People think that if you are successful in your career and you have so much money and you have so much girls and you have so much cars, then you're smart, equals smart. The irony of it is that it's completely the opposite. Charlie Adelson is the epitome of stupidity and dumbness, in my own opinion. He ruined his life just because of his dumbness. Arrogance, dumbness, stupidity, money. When these four come together in a person, in which is Charlie Adelson, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. And the audacity to be on the stand and say, yeah, she considered him smart. Please, he could be anything but smart.
The track. Because during the day, he's doing periodontal work, whatever that is, crowns, root canals, whatever that is. He's doing that during the day. At night, he's out with friends, he's buying drugs, he's living life on both sides of the track.
I don't know about that, but he's out buying drugs.
Let's talk for a second about WhatsApp. And as an aside here for a second, the government asked you the question if you use WhatsApp, right? You remember that?
I
On the day that Professor Markel was killed, you went in for the interview, right? And you also gave them your phone for them to inspect.
Absolutely.
So the determination of what, if any, WhatsApp was being used, they would have from the download they did that day of your phone. Now, would you be surprised to learn that your brother used WhatsApp?
No.
You would agree with me that WhatsApp, and you explained it well, is end-to-end encryption.
Correct.
In your lay opinion, you can explain to the jurors, just in case they don't know, what that means.
I know that it's something we use at my work because essentially it has the ability to keep things more private. I also know that nothing's actually private and that anyone who wants to can encode the messages. So that's what we tell people at our work.
So the thought is with WhatsApp, if I use my phone and I call someone, I text somebody, record them, right?
I think so.
But with WhatsApp, you can send messages or have phone calls where there's no record of it.
I don't think that's true. I think there is still a record of it.
But the belief and the thought, I'll withdraw that question. Your lay understanding, though, is that the footprint that it leaves is much less than that of normal communications.
I think it's different, but I think it still leaves the digital footprint that's easily uncodable.
If you were to send a WhatsApp message to this calendar, it would show that a message was sent, but it would be hard to get what the content of the message is.
I think that's true.
Let's talk about your brother's jokes now. You don't deny that he joked about hiring him. You don't deny that he repeated this joke. And he made this joke right before a hitman murdered Professor Markel.
I don't know that's true.
Okay. He made the
What?
joke right before, and I'll leave out the hitman part. Professor Markel was killed.
He made the joke the morning that I talked to him.
Can you think of one person in this world that would actually hire two people to go kill Professor Markel other than your family? Ms. Adelson, please address me and answer the question.
It calls for an unbelievable amount of speculation. I mean, I'm responsible for coming up with that's the prosecutor's duty, to figure out who's responsible.
You just said a moment ago that you disagree that hitmen killed Professor Markel would actually hire two people to go kill Professor Markel other than your family? Ms. Adelson, please address me and answer the question.
It calls for an unbelievable amount of speculation. I mean, I'm responsible for coming up with that's the prosecutor's duty, to figure out who's responsible.
You just said a moment ago that you disagree that hitmen killed Professor Markel. That's what you said, right? So my question to you is, if you're able to say, well, it wasn't hitmen, then who? Tell this jury, who in this planet would have wanted to kill Professor Markel? All right. Let's get into that. But I want to make sure that's clear. This joke is made right before Professor Markel was murdered, right? It was made right before Professor Markel was murdered. Yes or no?
Yes.
July 18, 2014, you're interviewed, and you make a statement saying, I knew this would happen. You said that, right?
I did.
Oh
Now
my
I want to talk about your knowledge and your belief on this. You're a smart person, right?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Well, let's go through your resume. You went to Brandeis University, right?
I did.
You graduated magna cum laude.
She directly shifts when he says you're smart. She begins. It's very hard for one to talk about themselves. I want the people to talk about me and my work to talk about me. She lights up when he compliments her. She forgets everything and lights up when he compliments her.
It means, and to speak, I'm from the North.
Look how happy she
My
is.
Boston accent may give it away. It means you're wicked smart, right? You got a high GPA, a very high GPA. You also went and you got a master's degree from the University of Cambridge. You were a Gates Scholar. You then go to the University of Miami School of Law, which is a top-tier law school, Tier 1, right? Right? We're talking about your level of intelligence. You went to the University of Miami Law School, right?
I did, yes.
You also clerked at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, right? Now, to get a clerkship out of law school, it's a very difficult thing to do, right?
Challenging.
You have to have top grades. You have to go through a rigorous selection process, right?
Yes.
You then become a professor at the Florida State University College of Law, right? You're also a published author.
You're just embarrassing me.
Why are you embarrassed that you're a published author?
I don't like talking about myself.
Is it because the book that you wrote discredited Tallahassee and spoke ill of it?
The book did not discredit Tallahassee. It wasn't about Tallahassee.
Let's stay on topic and ask a question again with everything that we just went through. You're a smart woman, right?
I am a smart woman.
There's information about this case everywhere. You'd agree with me on that, right?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to read it.
All right. Now, we're not talking about reading stuff. There's podcasts,
Also not to listen.
TV shows,
Also not to watch.
articles.
Don't read.
And so you've made the decision. Now, you're a lawyer yourself too, right?
I am.
And you made the decision, I'm not going to look at any of this stuff.
Correct.
I don't want to know what happened to the father of my two children.
Not I don't want to know what happened.
How can you say you love those boys if you don't care who killed the father that they loved?
Of course I care.
Then why won't you look at the stuff?
I've been advised not to.
Are you afraid that when you look at it, you're going to realize that your brother did this?
I am not afraid of that.
Wow.
Now, of course, you, and we won't get into privileged communications, but you've spoken to your lawyer about the case.
How are we not thinking of privileged communications? Yes, I've spoken to my lawyer about the case.
You're very intelligent. You have one of the top defense attorneys in the country, former federal prosecutor John Moore, right there in the right?
He is my attorney.
You're telling me with all of this at your disposal, your intelligence, his experience, and all this information, that you don't care to find out who it is that killed Professor Markel?
This is not that I don't care to find out. My job is to take care of those boys, and that is what I do. I don't see how it helps take care of them to go reading and watching and soaking up all of the horrible information that's out there.
Finally untangling this to give this jury the truth about what happened to Professor Markel?
I have been nothing but helpful since this started.
Sure.
What happened to their son? By you looking at it, you are at the center of all this, but you won't look at anything to help in the process.
I've done nothing but help in this process.
You came here and testified.
I came here and testified. I spoke
You
to
had
the police for 6 hours without anyone present. I signed over my cell phone, my car, my house, everything, my computer. What else do I have or know that you haven't seen?
You came here because you were subpoenaed and had no choice,
Correct.
right?
This is not fun. I would not do this by choice.
You've been inconvenienced.
I've not been inconvenienced.
Professor Markel was shot in the head.
I'm not complaining about being here. This is my duty. I'm here.
We'll get back to you complaining about being here. Do you honestly expect this jury to believe that you haven't confronted your brother about all of this?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you did confront him.
Yes, I do expect them to believe that I did not confront my brother because I didn't.
Why didn't you?
You already know. That he went behind your back, right?
Did not happen.
Just like he has done with past boyfriends. He's done that in the past where he's gone behind your back when you were having problems in a relationship and dealt with it himself.
No.
Just because Mommy Donna is not happy.
Ms. Adelson,
What human brain can just get me someone, a human brain that would be convinced that Wendy did not talk to Charlie about all of this. And if so, there's a huge problem, because why wouldn't you? I mean, your brother's name is all over the place and he has joked about it so many times, and yet you have this much trust in Charlie that you don't even talk about it with him. You don't even ask him. You want us to believe that? Okay, if that's true, then why did you do that? Why wouldn't you talk about this with him? And the fact that you are still in a very good relationship with your parents, you don't want to lose this, of course, because it's in your favor. Whether they killed the father of your children or not. That's the least thing you care about, and you make it as if, oh, yeah, of course I care about who killed the father of my children. No, you don't. Action speaks louder than words, and you have done nothing but defend your family and stand by them.
You understand that until you expose your brother what he did, that everybody's going to consider you as guilty. You understand that, right?
What is the question that you're asking me?
You understand that until you expose your brother and explain what he did, that he went behind everybody's back, that he hired a hitman to murder your ex-husband, you'll remain guilty in the eyes of the world.
I can't speak to the eyes of the world. I can only know that I have done nothing wrong.
Maybe you are guilty.
I am not guilty.
So, a witness in this case, and I'm not going to get into their testimony, but one of the hitmen, the convicted hitman, implicates you. On July 17, 2014, the day before the murder, the morning before, he says that you were walking on Trescott with the two boys, that you walked down the driveway and into the house.
That never happened.
Right, because Professor Markel, I apologize, Professor Markel, he had the kids. Based on the way that your guy's schedule was, on that day he would have had the children in the morning, and you're going through such a bad divorce, you wouldn't be at his house, right?
I wouldn't be at his house anyway, but not because we were going through a bad divorce. At that time, things were pretty copacetic.
So we're coming back to maybe you do know, maybe you were involved.
Excuse me? What's the question that you're asking me?
I'm giving you a header of what we're talking about. So that
Where's her lawyer? He's not saying anything. No one is saying anything, as if she's really drowning in here all by herself. God, I love this.
Okay, I'm just telling you what the topic that we're on, so we'll get to a question. Now, the government asked you about a time that you met Miss McVannell. It was actually spring break of March 2014, right? You went down to Miami. You stayed with your brother Charles.
I went down to Fort Lauderdale after being in Immokalee.
You then went to Miami Beach to Yardbird and had dinner outside with your boyfriend at the time when you were dating Jeffrey Lacoste. Pastor McVannell was there, and your brother Charles Adelson, and you all ate outside, right?
We did.
And that's on Miami Beach, not Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Now, just for context, Jeffrey Lacoste, he was also an FSU professor, not at the law school, but an FSU professor. Nice guy, right?
I don't think so now.
Really?
You deny.
Yes, because he did not hire a hitman for her. Definition of a nice guys to Wendi is guys that joke around that they're gonna hire a hitman to get rid of her husband. I'm gonna stop for now. It's a long video. Actually, not very long. We still have 18 minutes in it. I'm gonna do a part 6 next time. And I hope you liked this video and other videos also. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. Appreciate all the comments and likes and views and everything. Goodbye.